What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're just talking about Gear 5 Luffy. I've already made a video discussing the abilities of Gear 5 Luffy and what he does, and I'm sure you guys have probably watched the video by now. This video is going to be purely a discussion between this Gear 5 Luffy and the old 6-star form of Luffy. I have already made a tweet about this in just giving my thoughts and opinions. If you guys just want the hardcore facts of what needs to be done here. What needs to be done is this current Luffy, 6-star plus, this is the one you feed dupes to. Get this guy rainbowed. The other Luffy being the 6-star one, the current one being this one right here. This Luffy, ideally, you just get this one copy of, and that's pretty much all you need. Of course, getting him maxed out is going to be hugely amazing for you, but out of the two, the one that I would be maxing out would be this Luffy right here. And there's going to be a couple reasons why I say that, and I'm going to go through those reasons in this video. But if you guys just want the info, that's what I'm saying. 6 plus is the one you invest in. The 6-star one, it's definitely nice to have. So let's actually get into the reasoning why I say that. So we have a look at the current 6-star Luffy that's going to be super evolving. The abilities of this unit change drastically upon super evolution, and the biggest change, honestly, is the captain ability. As we know, the current Luffy has the really neat ability of resisting 10 turns of special reverse and 10 turns of bind. He loses that upon super evolution, so in normal content, having the ability to have one unit that can deal with bind and special reverse, and then you have another unit that can completely deal with despair, obviously is a huge positive. What you can do as well is you can have one of your captains be 6-star Gear 5 and your other one be 6-star plus Gear 5, and then you can deal with despair, bind, and special reverse all together as one, and you get the benefits of both, because the other really big thing about this unit is you get the revive mechanic, and alternatively, when you transform into Gear 5, you can bypass barriers and damage negating abilities with your normal attacks, and that is a big loss upon super evolution, which is why I say you probably should have still a 6-star form of this Luffy. Having one of those just to use it whenever you need it is hugely amazing for your account. Having the ability to bypass defensive effects with normal attacks with a 6-star times captain, whilst also dealing with bind and special reverse, like, come on, man. You probably want to have this still available to be used. But then, of course, you have the other ability of this Gear 5. He's a much faster captain to use. He gives you the 6 times attack boost to all characters, not just to Sai or Free Spirit characters. Also making all colored slots beneficial for himself, so he himself hits harder. But if you go the extra mile and you're able to team build for this guy. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about this already, that this component of this character's captain is one of the reasons why many people are not liking this Gear 5 Luffy, and I actually totally understand with what people are saying. I think generally speaking, 6-star Gear 5 is a much easier, much more friendly character to just slap on a team, and you know it's going to perform well. However, if you do go out of your way to build a team with one of every color in the crew, as well as allowing this super type condition of having the 3 characters, whether they be Straw Hats, Law, Kid, or Momo, Yamato, if you're able to do that, the team that you can build is so monstrous. You can deal with anything with super effective damage, and it's nuts, dude. I'm telling you, if you can build this right, this unit is the best unit in the game. In terms of, if you can build a good team with this guy, it can beat anything. It legit can. The fact that he is super effective against all types, when you take into account that and this Rush Sugo special, which makes his own normal attack just hit ridiculously hard. And I'm telling you from first experience, with a rainbowed Luffy, current 6-star Luffy, against super effective content, that Rush Sugo special itself is enough to kill just about every boss in the game, right? Excluding super bosses and stuff like that. But if we're talking just any generic piece of content out there that you can unlock or compete against, it just beats everything. And if you have a Rush as powerful as this, of course, yes, it is only to himself, but that's the way that Gear 5 is designed. But having the ability now to make that super effective is massive, dude. I'm telling you, this is a big change. But the other thing is like, if you only have level 1 Rush Sugo special, well, then it doesn't really mean like all that much in comparison. Well, the super effective against all types is still very good, don't get me wrong, but the fact that you have that with a huge, powerful, effective Rush Sugo special is big. And even at Rush Sugo special level 1, to be honest, you still get a pretty sizable damage increase because of that. But of course, when you get it to level 5, things change quite drastically for you. And this other effect of making other specials that are focused on certain colors or certain classes being able to affect every character now, that is also a big change. It means that team building isn't as difficult because you can still run like these random characters that, you know, maybe they only boost driven characters. Maybe there's like another version of Eustace Kid you want to use on your team, but he only gives a buff to driven, or he reduces cooldown of driven characters or striker characters. Well, it doesn't matter because it's going to affect everyone. So that's the cool thing, is that makes the team building aspect much easier. And then, you know, if you do go out of your way to make this team one of every color on your team, usually when we've seen this in the past, the benefits from it haven't been that great. You know, I draw conclusions to Super Tandem Sengoku. There's been plenty in the past that have it as well. Obviously, Gil Tizor has components of it as well. But, you know, if you have one of every of these types of units on your crew to get access to rainbow damage and then the ability to make these specials become rainbow, I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. But then, of course, we keep contrasting back. What you have here, there's nothing wrong with this at all, and I think that people are going to be kind of stuck. You know, should I keep this Gear 5 that has this really cool ability? And I honestly think, generally speaking, if you are a newer or a mid-level player, this is going to be better for you. But if you have an established account with a very powerful character box, you've pulled a bunch on this game, you've been playing for thousands of days, then this Gear 5 Luffy, I think, will be better for you. But, of course, they're both good for different pieces of content. If we're talking like a super boss Kizuna, this can literally be used against any type of boss in the game because he's a rainbow captain with super effective damage. However, against mono int bosses, this Gear 5 Luffy is the best side unit you can use in the game against it. And even still, even this Gear 5 Luffy here, you can still use this Gear 5 Luffy against int bosses, for sure. But it's the fact that if you are going out of your way to build with the rainbow team, like, it just works on everything. But mono side, this Gear 5 Luffy is still better in my opinion, so you have to take that into consideration. And then, I mean, we move on to some other things as well, like the crewmate ability of this Luffy is also way better, rather than just resisting paralysis on himself. Like, resisting on himself doesn't mean much at all. If this was like -1 paralysis for the whole crew, I'd actually prefer that a little bit better. But then you move on to the special. I mean, they both are damage dealing specials. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. This guy is only single target, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. Whereas this guy does a multiplier damage, but it is to all characters. But it doesn't bypass like normal attacks only and stuff like that. So you do have to take that into consideration. But then this guy obviously providing color affinity boost, and then full border size slots. And then if you're in the Gear 5 state, that's when you get access to the orb boost. But this other component of this character, reducing 1 turn of enemy positive buffs, when this character super evolves, he loses access of that component. And that's a pretty big deal, because this particular component of removing positive buffs is one of the reasons why my treasure map team in this current event actually works the way it does, is because he can remove 1 turn of enemy resilience, and then Yamato free to play can remove the further 6 turns of that resilience. And that's a pretty big change. But you move on to Luffy here with the 6-star plus, it is a bit different. He makes all of these natural slots 2.75 times multiplier, so they become better than Wano slots, which is pretty absurd. And then you have the ability to get either an orb boost or an attack boost, depending on the situation with your current crew, which I think is pretty cool too. And even if you're running double Gear 5 Luffy, you can use the special to get an attack boost, use the orb boost on the second one. Like, you can get these massive buffs, reduced redundancy type of specials with 2 Gear 5 Luffys together. Or alternatively, the way that this 6+ Gear 5 Luffy is built, you can have just Gear 5 Luffy as your captain, and you can hybrid him up with just about whatever you want, depending on the content at hand. If you need to deal with more utility, you can have a different utility captain that deals with something, like whether it be the 6-star Gear 5 Luffy right here, or if you need to deal with another type of debuff, like Special Bind, you could use like Ace Yamato as one of your captains, you know? Like, there's just different components, different strokes for different folks, you know? It just depends on the content at hand. And I think that's the kind of interesting debate that many people are going to have, is like, should I have Gear 5 6-star plus, or should I have the 6-star form? And this is what I'm saying, is that as it stands right now, because of the Rush Sugo special, the 6-star plus version of Luffy, this one right here, can utilize the Rush Sugo special better than what this Luffy can, due to the fact that this guy's really only good against int bosses with that Rush Sugo special. Whereas this guy can deal with his Rush Sugo special against any content, and it's always going to be good because it's going to be rainbow damage and it does a lot of damage, right? But the other component that I think a lot of people are missing and why you would want to evolve this guy and get this guy ready to go is his rumble mechanic, because the rumble differences between these two are pretty stark. But that's the other thing too, is if you have 2 copies of Luffy, you can have one 6-star form ready to go, and you can have your 6-star plus ready to go too. So you can use a 6-star and a 6-star plus one on 2 different Grand Party teams, for an example, which is pretty crazy to think about. So we have a look at, this is the current 6-star Luffy that we have right now. So he currently resists Special Bind and damage over time with int damage reduction. But when you have a look at this Luffy here, he resists Special Bind and halve stats with 30% damage reduction. So this guy resisting halve stats is a pretty big deal, as we know how good halve stats actually is. So this guy being able to resist it, huge positive for him. We move on to the original Luffy. The original Luffy was a buff to Psy characters, attack, defense, speed, and crit, and he revives himself with 50% health. The new Luffy is for Free Spirit, and it's slightly higher numbers, attack, defense, speed, crit, but instead of level 5, it's level 6, and when he revives all the way back to 100% HP. So it's a pretty big difference. While yes, you can still run him on a Psy Free Spirit team, and that will work fine. The numbers are better, of course, but the revive to 100% is a big deal. I believe this is the first revival character in Rumble that revives to 100%, because the other revival characters that I can think of would be like Super Tandem Luffy, Luffy Crew, versus Kaido, and Mizoro. These revival characters always revive to 50%. But now this guy just revives to 100% because why not? So again, his Rumble ability is just better in every way. You move on to the special ability, 34 seconds, 4500 fixed damage in a side horizontal range, large horizontal range, 5 attack to Psy, and then 1.5 damage ignoring defense to the highest defense character. I thought it was his highest HP character. I'm pretty sure this is highest HP. And then you move on to the special of Gear 5 6+. So this guy, horizontal 5000 damage, Free Spirit get a level 5 attack buff instead of Psy, and he targets one high HP enemy ignoring defense for 2 times damage instead of 1.5. So again, just better numbers across the board. You move on to the Grand Party stuff. We already know how broken Gear 5 Luffy is in Grand Party. And I mean, the burst, you need to deal 60,000 damage to the opponent, and the effect is 2.4 leader attack ignoring defense to all enemies. So this is from my thumbnail of the recent Grand Party season. So my Gear 5 Luffy did this much damage, and this was rainbowed, and I only had 190 attack cotton candy. I now have it at 200 attack cotton candy from the recent Super Pie Rumble season. So the numbers you see here, I can actually get higher than this now, but if you take the 10,550 and you divide it by the 2.4, so the leader in Grand Party would do 2.4 times multiplier. So that was the amount of attack that he had. Now if we take this exact same attack value and instead apply the value that this guy now does, this is the 6-star plus we're talking about, does 2.65 times damage, okay? So multiply that by 2.65, and now you're getting like, I mean, you just look at this. It's like, it's over 1,000 more. Over a 1,000 more damage, and this is the high-end scale. This is with a Rainbow Gear 5 Luffy, but this is going to help a lot of people in terms of just doing more damage in Grand Party, adding additional 1,000 damage. While it might not seem like a lot, but you know, sometimes if those enemies stay alive and they just hit and they clap you back with a special, it can mean a lot. But the other thing as well is that this character only has to deal 55,000 damage instead of the 60,000 that the 6-star had to deal with. So this is a much better condition, and while 5,000 damage condition, like, it's not a big jump, the big thing is that this actually now fully rivals what Roger is able to do. Gold Roger's Grand Party ability has to tank 55,000 damage, and that was kind of annoying, because sometimes you would do the 55,000 damage, but you wouldn't actually reach this condition yet to launch your special. So sometimes it could be a bit finicky, but now it fully mirrors what Roger does. So this has a better matchup against it. And the numbers here for even the passive for the 6-star plus Luffy are just better. So when you take that into consideration as well, having access to this guy in Rumble, not only for normal Rumble, but for Grand Party, is also a pretty big difference, and he's going to be a lot better to use. And I mean, it's not major changes we're talking about here, but remember, with Rumble, every little bit of damage counts, because, as I said, if those enemies stay alive and they clap back with a special, that can just literally ruin your match. So having more damage on the field there, more defense, more capabilities of applying pressure to the opponent in Rumble means a lot. So this is what I'm saying. I do think that this guy, in a lot of cases, is better than the original 6-star form of Luffy, but you do have to take into consideration that not everyone is going to have this Luffy completely maxed out with his rush, and the fact that this captain ability is so much easier to use. So much easier to use. Because, you know, Sign Free Spirit, that's all you have to build for, and having 3 of these characters on your crew so you can actually abuse the EX special, that's pretty much all you really need to do. And building Free Spirit for Straw Hats, Yamato, Law, Kid, Momo, it's pretty easy to do, honestly. It really is. And being able to have the ability to, you know, have the revive mechanic just in case if you need it, or alternatively, make him transform into Gear 5 so you can bypass the barriers and buffs. They're just different units, okay? They are different units, but there are positives and negatives to having both units. Best case scenario, you have 2 of these units and you're good to go. If that's the case, there's no issues. And it's just the fact that this character is better in Rumble, so you invest more in this character. And that's really how I kind of see it at the moment. But let me know your thoughts and opinions. I know that many of you guys would have already given your thoughts and opinions about 6-star plus Gear 5 Luffy in my previous video. But hopefully this is able to clear some things up for you guys, because I know this is going to be a big discussion point. I'll likely discuss it also on the Good, Great, Perfect podcast, which is going to be happening this weekend, so we'll see how things go. But I really hope that this video enlightens you guys just to some more information in regards to Gear 5 Luffy. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.